This year, tennis has become as much a story of mental health and personal reckoning as it has of rankings, titles, or technical evolution. From Djokovic conceding to the effects of time, to Sinner navigating the fallout of his doping scandal, to Alcaraz dealing with the pressure of expectations, the psychological layer is impossible to ignore. Yet, among all the narratives that have defined the 2025 season, Alexander Zverev's may be the most striking, not because of triumph, but because of unraveling. What started with promise has become a case study in how internal instability can derail even the most talented athlete. At the start of the season, Zverev appeared ready to take the final step. He reached the Australian Open final and was, for the first time in years, a legitimate contender for the #1 ranking. His physical condition was strong, his tennis aggressive and consistent, and there was a renewed sense of focus. But that momentum evaporated quickly. As the months unfolded, something broke, not in his body or technique, but in his mind. His shocking first-round loss to Arthur Rinderknech at Wimbledon was only part of the story. What followed was more telling. In an unusually candid press conference, Zverev admitted to feeling emotionally empty. He described a deep lack of motivation, loneliness, and a sense of numbness that had settled in since Melbourne. For one of the most guarded figures in tennis, it was a rare and vulnerable moment. He admitted he's been struggling for months, that even his tournament wins in Munich and Stuttgart brought him no joy. "There's just nothing there," he said. "I win and I feel nothing. I lose and I feel nothing." These aren't just the words of someone in a slump. They're the words of someone burnt out and emotionally disconnected from the very thing that has defined his life. He said he'd considered therapy. He acknowledged that he feels alone. These revelations reframed his season entirely, not as one of underperformance, but as one of personal crisis. Zverev has always been an enigmatic figure, capable of sublime tennis but prone to withdrawal under pressure. He's carried the aura of someone still fighting himself more than his opponents. The passivity in big moments, the emotional flatness, the inconsistency, these now seem less like tactical flaws and more like symptoms. It's no longer a question of whether he's good enough. He is. It's about whether he can find the emotional resilience to handle the pressure and isolation of elite sport without imploding. That's what makes his post-Wimbledon decision to train at the Rafa Nadal Academy so compelling, not just for the location or facilities, but for the presence of Tony Nadal, who, according to multiple reports, is working with Zverev. If true and if meaningful, this could be the most significant shift in Zverev's professional mindset in years. Tony Nadal does not do surface-level fixes. He's known for his psychological rigor as much as his technical acumen. He demands total commitment, emotional honesty, and an almost monastic discipline. If Zverev is ready to be challenged on that level, not just coached but transformed, this might be the reset he desperately needs. Historically, that has been the problem. Zverev's team has long been a closed circle. His father and brother have shaped his career, but also insulated him from external influence. Lendl and Federer came and went, their ideas never fully integrated. There was always a sense that Zverev resisted giving up control, but if Tony Nadal is now involved, that dynamic will have to change. Tony leads or he walks. His method isn't about comfort, it's about confronting weakness directly, and that is exactly what Zverev has avoided. There's also the broader environment of the academy. Simply being around Rafael Nadal, even informally, could be grounding. Rafa's presence is a constant reminder of what it means to live with purpose, to compete with humility, to endure with integrity. For a player like Zverev, who has admitted to losing sight of why he's even playing, that kind of example might quietly start to reshape how he views the sport. Not immediately, but over time. Not by imitation, but by osmosis. Skepticism is fair. We've seen this before. A coaching change, a flash of form, then the familiar collapse. Zverev has never lacked talent or ambition. What he has lacked is psychological clarity, the ability to navigate adversity without falling into himself. Until he breaks that cycle, nothing will stick. That's why this moment feels different and also decisive. If he really is opening the door to someone like Tony Nadal and giving him real influence, it could finally mark the start of something new. But it has to be real. It has to be total. With Toronto, Cincinnati, and the US Open approaching, we're entering a stretch of the season that will test the legitimacy of this change. These tournaments won't just reveal whether Zverev is playing better, they'll show whether he's mentally present, emotionally connected, and ready to fight again, not just for wins, but for himself. At 28, this is no longer about potential, it's about truth, and whether he's finally ready to face his. What does the future hold for Alexander Zverev? Before any tactical shifts or coaching adjustments can take root, the German must first confront his mental health. His struggles are no longer hidden behind vague cliches. They've been laid bare in his words, his demeanor, and in how his 2025 season has quietly slid from promise to uncertainty. Zverev may still be ranked inside the top 3, but the cracks are visible. At this level, tennis is as much about mental clarity as technical sharpness. And right now, Zverev's greatest challenge isn't his forehand or footwork, but rediscovering his purpose and emotional balance. The change in Zverev's tone and trajectory has caught many off guard. For years, he was tipped as a natural successor to the Big Three, stacking up finals, an ATP Finals title, and consistent top-tier finishes. But behind the numbers were persistent doubts about his mindset, his nerve under pressure, and his inconsistency in Grand Slams. The raw ability was never questioned. What he lacked, and is only now starting to acknowledge, was a sustainable balance between ambition and joy. This season forced that reckoning. A crushing 5-set loss to Jannik Sinner in the Australian Open final was followed by a public unraveling. After a first-round exit at Wimbledon, Zverev opened up about feeling joyless, isolated, and emotionally drained. He admitted to waking up without motivation, even after wins, and questioning his identity as a player. For someone of his ranking, the honesty was jarring and revealing. It marked a turning point, not just in his career, but in how he's choosing to confront it. Still, Zverev continues to project belief. Despite the setbacks, he remains convinced his best tennis lies ahead. Maybe it hasn't been my best year, but I don't think I'm as far away as some people may think, he said recently. He acknowledged the current momentum of Alcaraz and Sinner, calling Carlos the star boy and showing clear admiration for his energy and attitude. I just hope to spoil their party a little bit, and I think I can do that, he added, with a flash of competitiveness that suggests he's far from done. Zverev's words about Alcaraz: he is fun to be around and he always has a smile on his face. If he can avoid any controversies, he is going to be very, very loved. Also hinted at a deeper awareness. There was both respect and experience in that comment, a quiet acknowledgement of how fame and pressure can distort even the brightest stories. Zverev has lived that duality and seems increasingly attuned to the mental and emotional toll that comes with the spotlight. In terms of results, he's still holding his own. He leads Sinner 4-3 head-to-head, holds a 6-5 edge over Alcaraz, and has a solid 35-14 record this season with a title in Munich. But tennis is about momentum, not just stats. While Alcaraz and Sinner look like players in full flight, Zverev appears stuck, searching not just for form, but for meaning. That search led him to the Rafa Nadal Academy, where he has trained under the eye of Tony Nadal. It's not just a training trip, it hints at something deeper, possibly a change in coaching philosophy, but more importantly, a shift in mindset. Asked about the potential partnership, Zverev was cautious. Possibly. It's a different feeling right now for me. I think I'll have answers by Canada. It was a revealing answer, not of tactical certainty, but of someone still sorting through his emotional state. Before he can change coaches or game plans, he needs to rebuild trust in himself. Without motivation and joy, even the best coaching won't lead to real progress. Toronto, Cincinnati, and the US Open will offer immediate chances for course correction. If Zverev can channel his emotional unrest into clarity and let go of the weight he's been carrying, this stretch could spark a resurgence. But if he continues to mask the deeper issues or treat them as temporary distractions, the gap between him and the sport's new leaders will only widen. The broader picture adds urgency. Djokovic's era is fading. Nadal has retired. Federer is long gone. Alcaraz and Sinner are not emerging. They are already defining this new phase. Zverev, like others from the middle generation, risks being squeezed out. He has the game to remain relevant, but if he wants to lead, he must first heal. That means addressing the emptiness he's described and the burnout that no title can fix. Whether or not he officially teams up with Tony Nadal, the symbolism is clear. Zverev is looking beyond short-term fixes. He's searching for a version of himself that can compete with joy, not just grit. This moment demands more than tactical tweaks. It requires vulnerability, honesty, and a willingness to change. Tennis may be played alone, but no one climbs back alone. If Zverev is to rise again, it won't be because of one shot or one coach. It will be because he chose to confront what's truly been holding him back and began the harder work of becoming whole, both as a competitor and as a person.